This podcast is brought to you by PodSpot Events.
Hi everyone and welcome to Able Pod.
We need to baptise your son. I said, oh, no, we do that in church with family. And she said, he's not going to survive the night. My prayer in the NICU was, God, let me take him home. The paediatric neurologist said, go home and think about having another baby to take your mind off this one. When I hear negativity around NDIS, I get angry. You have no idea how tough we had it. I think we're going to be the leaders in the field based on the NDIS. Schools aren't ready for our kids. They're still not ready to accept or educate our children, and our children can learn.
You're pro-mainstream, even though you have a son that was subject to intent to bullying.
Well, what's going to happen when he leaves school? If he's cocooned in a special school, then what? What keeps any parent of a child with special needs awake at night is what will happen when I'm gone. 1 in 5 Australians lives with a disability. They're not represented in the media. They can contribute to society. What we do is life-changing.
Well, hi everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in again to Able Pod. We are the podcast channel on behalf of Able Plus. We do disability networking events all around Australia. We also do events in home care, aged care at home, and we're going to do workshops. So we've got a lot to bring to the space. We also do have an arm called Able Community, which is our fundraising arm for causes in need. But tonight, I'm super excited to have opposite me, Randa Habelrih. Hi, Randa, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted to have you on the channel. You're someone that I've wanted to have come on board for quite some time. You're a huge advocate in the ASD space. You've got lots of lived experience. I'm so pleased that you've finally taken the opportunity to come and say hi.
Thank you. I love what you're doing in giving us a voice.
I think there's something in that, right? Yeah. This channel is all about NDI storytelling, and it probably goes down the line of figuring out the emotional side of any journey, the people side of any journey. No, I'm not a policy person by nature, so that's what we do, and it's resonated well all across Australia. On that note, let's start with you. You've been in this space a long time. You are an advocate by nature. You have so much lived experience. Let's go back to the start. Tell us how you got into the sector. Over to you. The platform is yours.
Thank you. Well, it's not a journey I planned.
Okay.
My background is marketing. I was in the cosmetics industry with Lancôme, with Estee Lauder.
Love it. If I can think of a contrasting industry, I think it's cosmetics. So thank you for at least leaning in with that. I love contrast. Yeah.
My life was going as planned. We had a daughter, and we went to deliver our second child, Richard. Mm-hmm. And
a remarkable young man sitting on the couch.
He is remarkable. And he entered the world with a bang. Mm-hmm. It was a very complex, medically complex delivery. He wasn't expected to survive, and he did. But he fought. He's a fighter.
He
fought hard. There were countless times when we were in the NICU that we were counselled that he wasn't going to make it, and they'd make us watch as they switched the machinery off, but he continued to breathe on his own.
Hang on, Randa. Complex delivery.
Yes.
Doctors telling you that your child doesn't have a large life expectancy.
We delivered at St Margaret's Hospital. It's closed now, but it was a Catholic private hospital.
Yeah.
And on the form, you stated whether you were Catholic. So the nurse came back and said, you stated you're Catholic. That means we need to baptise your son. I said, oh, no, we do that in church with family. And she said, he's not going to survive the night. So they wheeled me in, and they'd put drains in his lungs. He had bilateral pneumothoraces. He was on life support. I walked in, the neonatal transfer team was crying. The ambos that were going to transfer him were in tears. And I had an out-of-body experience. I was observing but not reacting. And the nurse baptised him, and they took him away. My husband went with the baby, and I just watched out of the window as the ambulance sped away. So he wasn't expected to survive the night. I checked myself out the next morning because he was rushed off to the Children's Hospital in Randwick, and I sat by his bedside day and night just listening to the machines. I got to know the machines, every sound. We were counselled that he wasn't going to survive. He did. He spent a couple of months in the NICU, and then my prayer in the NICU was, God, let me take him home. And my prayers were answered. I took him home, but he had a lot of complications, a lot of issues. He was not expected to walk.
This is remarkable, though.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how brave you are by taking us back here? I'm hearing a lot of not expected. I've got someone coming to you wanting to baptise your child because they don't think he's going to make it through the night.
No.
This is unbelievable, the strength that you have to draw on to remain positive. You're listening to machines, you're listening to your child breathe. You get to know every little intricacy, every little... It's unbelievable.
Every single one. There was one stage where I knew that the CPAP machines are supposed to cut off when he tries to breathe. It wasn't cutting off. I told the nurse, they told the doctors. And
You're already the guardian. You've already got his back. You have to be onto stuff.
You have to. Anyway, look, it was a very dramatic entry to the world. At 6 months, the paediatric neurologist said that he wouldn't walk, talk. He was functionally deaf and functionally blind. And he basically just said it like that. And I said, there's something that you can give me. Surely there's something we can do. And he said no. He actually looked up at me and said, there is one thing you can do. And I was so hopeful. I stared at him wide-eyed, waiting for something. He said,
give me some positive, please.
He said, go home and think about having another baby to take your mind off this one. That was his advice. So, looking back, that's the best thing he could have told me, because I no longer relied on medical assistance and didn't waste my time.
You disengaged with the industry after that comment.
And I went down the alternative path. And we got him walking.
That takes guts too, though, Randa, to leave all that behind.
It does.
That's the system you've left behind.
Yeah.
And you're going it alone.
Yeah.
That was antagonistic. It was negative. It was overly negative.
It was horrible. I can't even
pessimistic
begin to tell you what that did to us. We felt abandoned.
Absolutely.
Completely abandoned, and there's no support structures, there's nothing, there's no safety net, there's nothing. But we're not the only family that went through that.
No, but you are survivors, and you are tough, and you are an incredible advocate for the space. But you had to disengage from the system to be where you are right now. That says a lot.
Yeah. But we started our own therapies, and we got Richard walking, talking, hearing, and he's come a long, long way. He didn't just... Now when people ask about his disability, we just say he's autistic. But there are so many other things we had to overcome.
Mm. Yeah, look, I think you're incredible. I think you've changed his trajectory.
Yes.
Through your own early intervention. And
Yes.
it wasn't through the system.
Early intervention is key, and this is what these medical professionals don't understand. When I would be forced to go into the medical system, I would say there's something very wrong. Oh, he's just globally developmentally delayed, just wait a bit. Oh no, I think he has autism. Oh, it's too early to label him. Okay. He eventually got the label because I paid for a private psychologist at the age of 4 from Aspect who labelled him as autistic. But we had already started autism therapies from the age of 18 months.
You're well ahead of the game. You're well ahead of the diagnosis.
Yep. The diagnosis was more to plan for school. And that's another subject. Schools aren't ready for our kids. They're still not ready for them. I talk to mums today, every day, and they're still not ready to accept or educate our children, and our children can learn. They just need the opportunity, they need the interest, the desire and the resourcing. It's not there.
Tell me what your utopia looks like in terms of ASD integration into schools.
Into schools, I prefer that they're mainstreamed.
Yep.
And the school is resourced to mainstream them. Inclusion isn't just accepting an enrolment, because right now that's what they think it is. They accept the enrolment and they think that they've ticked the box. You need to have the correct staffing ratio. You need the teachers to be educated. You need the right classroom sizes. You need the correct teaching techniques. You need the correct sensory rooms, not punishments, but sensory rooms or timeout rooms that are kind to our children. You need to want to make it work. We went into a high school where our amazing principal, when we were dropping Richard off, I had tears in my eyes, and he looked at me and said, "We're going to make this work." And I needed to hear that.
It's so nice.
And he is amazing. He's an exception, unfortunately, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What a great guy.
Yeah. David McGuinness, we love you.
Yeah, we do, mate. Well done. Leader in the space.
Yeah,
So we're going back a long time.
we are.
Way before NDIS. What did it look like back then?
Way
How hard
before
was it?
NDIS. Oh my God. What a different world it was. And when I hear the constant negativity around NDIS, I get angry.
Okay.
I
Great.
get angry and I get emotional.
Because?
And I just want to scream out, you have no idea how tough we had it. Just
And how lucky
be
you are.
grateful.
Yeah.
Yes, the NDIS is blowing out. Give me half an hour with Bill Shorten and I can help him.
Can you? You can straighten it all out.
Absolutely. I could
At
help
the back
him.
of a serviette, just Bill, less here, more here. Let's get involved earlier here and just, yeah, okay. Bill, if you're listening.
But also with the NDIS, a lot of people are just looking at the cost. They're forgetting the multiplier effect to the economy.
Good.
How many people are employed in this sector now
Yes.
that are tax-paying citizens?
Oh, it's a massive sector.
It's huge.
It's huge.
So where are those benefits? They're not being taken into account when they're talking about the cost.
So the journos are all obsessed with the expenditure, right? You're not
Yes.
looking at taxpayer revenue. You're not looking at about contribution back to the economy.
Correct.
And by the way, there's a massive shortage of support workers.
Yes.
And we literally don't have anyone that really wants to get involved in the space can.
Yes,
right? Like,
absolutely.
it's unbelievable. So you're telling me that the benefits to the economy aren't being reported by
They're
journos?
not being reported. How about we have a look at it, a cost-benefit analysis. I know with our own NDIS business, we employ so many students and mums, young mums.
It's a really
that
good point,
need
Randa.
flexible.
It's a really good point.
They need flexible employment.
Yeah.
We're offering them flexible employment and also with decent pay, not minimum wage. Let's talk about what that's doing to the economy, what that's doing for families, not just the cost of the NDIS.
Look, I couldn't agree more that this whole NDIS negativity that seems to be just picked up by journalists everywhere is just so bad. It needs these stories need to change, and I think that's a good one because you can actually measure it.
Yes.
You can say taxpayer contribution in the NDIS sector. This is coming back into the system, team.
Yes.
We're all in this together. Sure, yes, it's a large expenditure, but look at the benefits.
Yes.
And look at the benefits to youth. Look at the benefits to inclusion. Look at the benefits to people that are going shoulder to shoulder with people with disability. It's a good piece.
Yes. It's truly changed our lives. It's changed Richard's life. And so many young people now have a life, whereas before they would have no life. And that is quite valuable. It means they're not being treated for depression, for anxiety, for all sorts of mental health issues. So there are a lot of other benefits, ongoing benefits. But going back to when Richard was young, we had nothing. Everything had to be funded from after-tax income. And of course, when you have a child with such complex needs, mum has to stay at home.
Yeah, of course she does.
There's no other option. So not only do your expenses quadruple, or even more than quadruple, your income literally halves.
It's such a tight budget.
Yeah, it was tight, it was tough, but you just did whatever you had to do to make sure that your child got over the line. And the therapies were expensive. We also went overseas to train ourselves in therapies. The landscape was so different. There was nothing around.
Where did you go overseas? What were you in search of there?
They were ahead of us in the States, so we went and did the Sunrise program, and we did the FIFA protocol, which is a biomedical intervention.
Yeah. You feel the States were ahead of us? Are they
Yes.
still ahead of us or not?
I think we've caught up. I think the internet has changed everything. Richard was born before Google was invented.
Yeah, sure.
So the internet has made the world smaller. I think we've definitely caught up. The States will probably always be a little more advanced purely by their size. But we've definitely caught up, and we have excellent services. And the NDIS has changed the game. I think we're going to be the leaders in the field based on the NDIS.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Because it's
You're very positive towards the scheme.
I am very positive because I know what it was like without the scheme.
Yeah.
And we have experienced the difference that it has made.
Do you know the number one game at the moment is to beat up the scheme? Say negative things about the scheme.
Yes.
That's what's indexing. That's what's getting, I wouldn't say front page news, or maybe front page news. It's so good to have someone with so much lived experience say good things about the scheme. I also have an incredible story about the scheme with my son. I love it. Changed my life.
Yeah.
Where are those stories?
Yes. The journalists don't want to hear them because bad news sells. But yes, there are the fraudsters, and it is the government's job to weed them out. We've got to eliminate the fraudsters. But there are good people in the industries.
So many. Randa, we do events right across Australia. 99.5% of people are incredible in this space.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I would like this voice to be
And
conveyed
that's
across
what I
Australia.
love about your podcast is you give those people a voice.
I guess we do in
You
our own
do,
way. We
you
do.
do.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah.
We are positive by nature. And it is, I don't know. Yeah, thank you. It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to give a different version of what's going on. But ours is through lived experience. Very, very hard to fight against lived experience.
Yes.
Who else is reporting these things? Some journalists picking up on a provider and
It's very hard to get publicity. Very, very hard to get publicity. We've knocked on many doors. We did get some publicity for our Model Mates launch, Channel 10.
nice.
Did a fabulous story. Daniel Doody was wonderful.
Yep.
And the Daily Telegraph picked up the story.
Good.
But it has to be a massive event for the journalists to be interested.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the business, the different streams, run us through it. Autism Mates, there are sub-brands under that.
Yes.
I think we all understand the DNA, the culture, but what are we trying to achieve?
Autism Mates is our not-for-profit, which is how we started. Richard experienced a lot of discrimination and exclusion all through schools. It was brutal. And we started as advocates and providing education. And then as Richard went through
But hang on, Randa, as a mother, a really protective mother of a child that's going through bullying at schools, not fitting into the norm, you decide to lead with education and love. where's the victim? Where's the I'm going to go around and scratch somebody's eyes out that was mean to my child? Where's all the primal instincts? Where's this such a mature woman that wants to help people learn? Where does this come from? You know you were born for this role.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that I morphed into this role, and I always say
out of cosmetics, by the way, from a very, very unusual
selling lipsticks and fragrance.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I always say that Richard is my teacher. He has taught me unconditional love. Mm-hmm. He's taught me patience. He's taught me kindness. Mm-hmm. He's taught me everything. Wow. That's important. Wow. He struggled through school to make friends, obviously. Mm-hmm. There was a horrible incident in high school that really triggered all of this. And even though we were in a really caring environment with that wonderful principal, they couldn't stop the bullying. And I thought, children aren't born nasty. This is learned behaviour, and we just have to get in there first and teach them kindness. And I did want to go and scratch those boys' eyes out, but I couldn't. So we went home, and Richard came home and told me a story, and I wanted to go back to the school and rip the place up. Instead, YouTube was just starting to make some traction. My daughter and I made a quick YouTube video just asking people to be kind, and it got a lot of traction. The school saw it. They showed it to the students.
They aired the video to the entire school population.
Yes, as did other schools. I had schools ringing me across the country, contacting me even from the US, asking if they could show the video.
This went viral. You created a piece of content that was so heartfelt.
It
in the very, very early days.
Yeah. And one of the school teachers suggested we enter it into the Nova short film festival. You know, I can't remember the exact name. Anyway, I didn't know how to do it. I told my daughter, just send it off. She sent it off. We won first prize. There are spelling errors because I was so angry.
I love it. No.
I was writing with tears in my eyes.
You've given us context around it. People, our audience will love it.
Okay.
It'll be the second revival of this viral content piece.
But the thing was, everyone was downloading it, so we didn't get the numbers that it should have gotten. But anyway, that's
Randa,
okay.
There was nothing in the market back then. Yeah. Bullying was rife.
Yeah.
Anything that was different was picked on.
Yeah.
It was a different era. Please tell me we've come a long way since then, please.
We have and we haven't.
Okay.
I still get mums contacting me because with Autism Mates, we have a closed Facebook group. My number's out on every brochure. People have access to my phone number.
Yeah.
I have mothers calling me saying, what can I do? This is the situation in the school. It's still happening. The bullying's still happening. The enrolments, even though our children have a legislated right to attend their local school.
Okay.
That's not happening. Children are being rejected, being funneled to support or specialist schools, and they're not getting what they need. Not a lot has changed.
You're pro-mainstream.
I am pro-mainstream.
Even though you have a son that was subject to intense bullying.
Yes. Well, what's going to happen when he leaves school? If he's cocooned in a special school, then what? And by the nature of autism, our kids mimic. If all they have to model behaviour is their peers or other children that have the same diagnosis, the chances of them improving, I feel, are lessened.
I agree. They're mimicking the behaviour of others. If the others, yeah.
And also, what are we going to move them from special school into sheltered workshops? Is that what we want for our children? It's not what I want for my son.
So all of a sudden you've given me a path that doesn't end in a nice place.
No. And what keeps any parent of a child with special needs awake at night is what will happen when I'm gone. That's what keeps us up at night. And if all we can think of is special school, sheltered workshop, I can't contemplate that.
No. It's not enough.
No. They deserve more. They can learn. They just need the interest. And that translates to post-school. A lot of them won't be 9-to-5ers, but they need opportunities. And we can give them opportunities.
Okay, let's talk about opportunities. Let's talk about Richard specifically. Tell us about this amazing product. Tell us about entrepreneurship. Tell us about Freckly Faces.
Well, Richard struggled to find a job post-school. He went through the SLES program or whatever it's called and wasn't successful. But he had ability, he is creative and he has aspirations and he wants to contribute. He wants to be social, he wants to be a part of society. So he was working at a preschool 2 hours a week and they did a fundraiser for a little boy who needed a wheelchair. He made some chocolate freckles and raised $2,000 for that cause.
Really?
Yes, and
It's a good number, by the way.
It's a great number. And then next year, of course, was COVID, and we went into lockdown. So he wasn't going to the school. He had no purpose. All his social activities stopped, and he was depressed. And I said, "You're not going to stay in bed all day. Come on, get up."
Richard was depressed. You could tell his demeanour changed.
Yes. He wouldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
He had no purpose. And we all need purpose.
We do.
All of us.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't you make more of your chocolate freckles and you can sell them and keep the money? He said, I can keep the money. I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he started making freckles.
Yeah.
We put them up online to sell. And a journalist, Rebecca Scanlon, God love her, she wrote a story on 9.com and orders went through the roof. Went nuts. We couldn't keep up. The whole family was recruited to come and pack.
I love it.
We couldn't keep
orders from all around Australia?
All around Australia, and it was syndicated to the UK, orders to the UK as well.
Oh, we're exporting Freckly Faces.
Yeah, we were exporting Freckly Faces. And it was due to some TikToks we'd made.
This is great.
Yeah, and Rebecca saw the TikToks and that's it. So we just started making more. He would make them and we would handle the admin for him. And that's with, most business owners, they don't do everything themselves. No. So it was very much it's still very much his business. He does have some friends come in and help when we're inundated with orders. The product is quite seasonal, so we bring some of his friends in to help. And the goal is to create a little social enterprise that will employ more young people. We're looking for a space so we can move out of my kitchen. But the rent around here is incredibly high.
Yeah.
But imagine if we can employ more of them to make the freckles, and the ones who are tech savvy can do the tech side, and the ones who like to count can do the stock control and can do the orders.
Oh, this sounds great.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's the medium term vision.
Yeah.
We had a collaboration with Daryl Lee over Easter.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Daryl Lee made the Spreckly egg and they featured Richard on the packaging and it was fabulous. They were really
well done, Daryl Lee. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So that's Freckly Faces, but it's not just that. It's about helping them to realise that they can tap into their own creativity and develop something that has a commercial value. I was at an expo on the weekend. There was a young boy there. He creates, he's autistic. He's got his own business, Scrubs by Daniel, and he makes sugar scrubs. Doing wonderfully. He won a business award. Richard's won a business award. He's up for another one this year.
Amazing.
So they can they can create, they can do, they can contribute to society and
of course they can.
earn an income, and that's the goal. And that's what we also do. We've just launched Model Mates. I touched on that earlier.
Yeah. Give us more.
With Model Mates, we teach our young people to stand up with confidence, because all through school they're harassed, they're bullied. We teach them to love the skin they're in. The first thing we do is we encourage them to look in the mirror. We work in a studio it's a dance studio with mirrors for walls, so they look at themselves, and we teach them to stand. We have professional models working with them, industry professionals, and they teach them to walk. We have a professional stylist who taps into their sense of style and what they like, the textures, the fabrics, so that they can develop.
Textures and fabrics are huge.
Huge.
To people with ASD.
Absolutely huge.
The way a fabric feels
Yes.
on your skin
Yes.
is you'll either wear it or you won't. They will have favourites.
Yes.
This is great.
It is. Richard will not wear denim jeans. He just will not wear denim jeans.
No, don't even try.
No.
If it just doesn't
Not
like the
going to
feel of
happen.
it.
Doesn't like it. It's
Denim's
the
not very
texture.
flexible, by
It's
the
not.
way.
I think that's
It's
it.
it's a tough thing.
It's
I
a
don't know.
tough fabric, yeah.
I don't know why
I'm
it's
not a fan.
invented. Yeah.
But that's what we do. We work with furs. We work with silks and
See, now that you've
jackets.
given me some context around model mates, and
Yeah.
I can see that happening, and you're importing models and you're talking about posture, and then you put the context over that, oh, by the way, I've always been taught by the rest of the school group or my peer group that I wasn't enough, that I looked different, that my clothing sense was out of fashion.
Yes.
And then you change all of that and give them some confidence. Now all of a sudden I get it.
Now it's different. We teach them to not just walk tall, we teach them to walk the runway. The models are teaching them how to work it on the runway.
Yeah.
We bring a photographer in, photographs are taken, they're taught posing techniques.
Yeah.
They're taught to love themselves, and we teach them public speaking.
Yeah.
Richard goes into schools.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
And
yeah.
what we want to
he's
do-
actually really amazing, yeah.
And we want more of these young people to go into schools to advocate themselves, to use their own voice. So we've got this microphone that we ask them to hold whenever they're talking in the course, so that they get used to holding a microphone. It becomes natural to them. We teach them how to introduce themselves. We teach them how to send in an audition tape. We teach them how to have a conversation, because so often they're not taught to have a reciprocal conversation. They go off on their tangents. We teach them how...
Give me more about that, the conversational side, because I think that's huge. What do you mean reciprocal conversation? If I lead in with something, you need to come back to me along the same lines. You can't go back into one of your deep dive specialist topics, or
So let's say if you ask Richard a question.
Yes.
So instead of just answering the question, he might then go on to say, and next week I'm going away on a trip to the Gold Coast, and then he'll continue on that tangent of his trip to the Gold Coast, rather than waiting for you to respond and having a reciprocal conversation. It will be a monologue.
Yeah. Okay.
So we teach them how to stop, listen, and answer the question. This is for interview techniques. This is not to change who they are. This is not for them to reprimand them when they're speaking. This is to teach them, because if they're going to go out on a casting call, they're going to be asked questions. And all of these skills that we teach them can be carried through into other areas of life. What we do is life-changing. It's life-changing. Then we have a graduation runway. We have our next graduation runway. You should come on September 7 at East Gardens, Westfield East Gardens.
Really?
Yes.
You're walking the catwalk?
Well, they are. I'm not.
We're clapping,
Yes.
and it's a celebration of so much.
Yes,
There's a lot going on there. It's not
Huge.
just walking a runway. Contextually, it's a completion of a journey of self-care,
Yes.
self-love from
Yes.
somebody who's received very little from society. So it's a really good thing. How do we convey that? How do we convey that there's more going on than a catwalk?
Well, we do it primarily by having it on a prestige catwalk. It's not a pity parade in a school hall.
Yeah, good.
So they're showcasing the latest fashion trends. that
Nice.
are from the stores. Westfield is it's a prestige shopping centre.
Sure.
And they have their hair done, their makeup's done, everything is professionally presented. We're out there hustling, trying to get brands on board to hire our models. They're trained, they're signed, and they're represented.
Oh, there's business happening.
Yes. So we only launched the agency this year, but we want the brands on board. We want to get the message out. Bonds have a magnificent campaign out at the moment. We want Bonds to come and knock on our door. We want the retailers to contact us. We want anyone who's filming a photographic shoot to contact us. We want them paid. Modelling rates, and we want 1 in 5 Australians lives with a disability. They're not represented in the media.
No.
But what these brands don't understand, and this is my marketing side coming through, well,
I'm loving it, by the way.
brands are always looking for new target markets or ways to grow their target market or to grow their client base.
And they're looking for ways to be inclusive.
Yeah, well, here we are, the disabled community on a silver platter. 1 in 5 then Australians. Now consider their families, their parents, their siblings, their aunts, their uncles, their supporters. If they see that they're representing their child, I'll be the first loyal customer. I'll be there with my wallet
A lot of
open,
Australians
ready to
will
buy.
Randa.
Yeah.
Aussies will rally behind
But
this.
why aren't the brands getting that? They have their corporate social responsibility paragraph on their website and they talk about inclusivity and then they think it means hiring someone with a slightly different skin tone. And that's ticking the inclusivity box.
You know what? I think if they could sit opposite you and feel your passion, like I am, I think they would come on board. I think corporate Australia is by and large wanting to bridge the gap. I think it'll happen. It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
But you are leading the charge.
Yeah.
I think you're doing everything you can.
Yeah.
Just keep doing. Be consistent. But I love it.
Yeah.
And there are some brands that would really benefit from it.
Yeah.
When you start talking 1 in 5, when you start talking about market growth in a retail space that looks for incremental growth, it's pretty compelling.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And representation matters. Our community needs to be represented. The landscape is changing.
Yeah.
It is
Do
changing.
you feel that? Because you, through all of your lived experience and pre-NDIS knowledge, I need that from you. Is it changing?
In the media?
Is the whole landscape changing? Are you part of a massive shift over the last 5-10 years in the right direction?
Yes, and the NDIS has a lot to do with that because it's mainstreamed disability.
Yeah.
It's made it a hot topic. People are talking about it. It's brought our children out into the public. They're seen now out and about, whereas before they stayed home.
Yeah.
So yes, people are aware, but I always say awareness is not enough. The next step is inclusion, and inclusion starts with empowerment and employment and real acceptance, not just awareness. We also have launched a new initiative called Mates for You that provides supported social outings for our young people. We saw a gap for our high schoolers, so we start accepting them from high school and then into young adulthood. And we take them to have supported experiences. We went to see Sister Act on the weekend.
Yeah, nice.
Everyone
needs to see Sister Act in their life. Let's face it, it's a classic.
They go indoor skydiving, they go to the movies, they go out to dinner.
Yeah.
They do what other young people love to do. And this is where some people do criticise the NDIS. They say, oh, well, we're paying for bowling. Well, no, you're not paying for bowling because the young people pay for their entry ticket.
Yeah.
They had to pay the out-of-pocket fee for their
Good
Sister
point.
Act ticket. They pay for the support. And that's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. They think that the NDIS is paying for their entry ticket.
Australian media, take note.
Yes. So we're providing an opportunity for our young people to go out and have fun.
Yes.
And this has consequences on their mental health, and that's important. Every young person wants to go out with their mates and have fun, and that's what we provide, an opportunity to do that with Mates for You. And we've started it a bit younger than most organisations, so once you're 13 you can join in, because there is a gap. Most of it is for post-school.
It's a tough market.
It is
13,
a tough market.
13 to 18.
It is
Those
a
are
tough market.
years.
Yeah, it's
Disability,
so hard.
non-disability.
Yeah.
That's just a shit sandwich, that whole
Yeah.
thing. It's just hard.
It is hard. And we've got parents telling us, oh my God, you've changed my daughter's life.
Yeah.
Because now she can go to school and say, I did this on the weekend. Whereas before, because she doesn't have friends at school and can't go out with them,
Yeah.
she now has a cohort. She has a peer group.
Yeah.
And what we do is help develop organic friendships from that, so that they can contact each other and
Yeah.
visit each other on the weekends. And that's what we do. And that's what the NDIS has facilitated.
Randa, I think your take on the space is phenomenal, and I think you're designed to be in the role that you're in. I'm not sure what the lipstick selling career was going to look like, but you are impacting the world for good, and I can sense that you're appreciative of schemes like the NDIS. You're also frustrated that we aren't further
Yes.
along. You will always be frustrated. Do you understand that?
Yes,
If we
yes.
get here, you're going to want to be there.
Yeah. Yes. My husband says that all the time.
So part of your job is to look back every now and then over your shoulder, but you are changing things. You will get big brands that want to come on board with your modelling agency. You will get kids with disability quoting brands. Little things like this. Things like the thing at East Gardens, the model mates, the acceptance of love and inclusion and feeling good about yourself. People want this. They are. We are getting better. We have to be. It was pretty dark back in the old days.
It was so dark. It was so dark. I cannot believe how it, and I will use the word, it's wonderful now. It is. Compared to where we came from, oh my God.
I love it. God, it's good to hear some good stories coming out of the space. Thank you so much for providing that.
Oh, thank you, Ian, for giving us a voice.
Randa, you've been remarkable. You've been vulnerable. You took us back through a journey, and you shared with us some of the wins and some of your aspirations. Thank you so much on behalf of myself and the Able Plus team for creating such a great podcast here at Able Pod.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome, Randa. You're amazing. Keep doing it, all right?
Thank you, Ian.